Hello, family. Welcome to Stories with His Majesty. Please do well to subscribe, comment, and share. Let's delve into the story. Shalom. The wedding hall glittered under the soft glow of chandeliers, filled with laughter, music, and the clinking of crystal glasses. Guests moved gracefully in designer outfits, their smiles polished, their conversations punctuated with the occasional gasp of excitement. In a corner, away from the crowd, James stood quietly, his posture calm yet commanding. James is a very handsome young and one of the most eligible bachelors in town. He had built his own empire and a multi-billionaire. He is a gentleman to the core that he is almost perfect. Every lady wanted him, the high-class ladies and daughters of prominent people in town, but he never gave anyone chance. He believed in love, and today he thinks he has seen the one. He held a champagne flute, observing the room with the kind of focus only someone used to power could carry. Despite being a billionaire, James never flaunted his wealth. Across the hall, a burst of laughter cut through the music. Sami twirled, her diamond earrings sparkling with every movement. Her designer gown hugged her figure, and every gesture screamed confidence. She loved attention, and she knew how to command it effortlessly. To some, she was radiant. To James, she was intriguing and dangerous in a way he didn't yet realize. Sami is a self-acclaimed princess in her wars. She loved the luxurious lifestyle, but she came from a very poor background. She is always polished, beautiful and sophisticated, so to say. A socialite. She always denies her family in public. But then you would think she is an angel AMD, so did James. James noticed Sami across the room and felt a pull he hadn't expected. Her laughter, her confidence, the way she carried herself, it was intoxicating. Yet, there was something beneath the glittering surface he couldn't quite place, a flicker of something calculated. Justin noticed the look on his friend's face and leaned in slightly. "Careful, James. Not everything shiny is gold," he said quietly. But James didn't respond. His eyes followed Sami as she moved through the crowd, greeting friends and acquaintances with practiced charm. In that moment, the wedding hall became more than a celebration. It became a stage where hearts and desire would collide. James stepped forward, curiosity and maybe fate guiding his path. Sami turned, her eyes meeting his, and the spark got ignited. Above the soft hum of music and chatter, one truth was clear. In a city where everyone wanted something, the question was never about money. It was about trust and love. James' lips pressed into a faint smile. He had seen beauty before, plenty of times. But there was a fire in her presence that made him pause, a mix of charm and danger he hadn't expected. Justin sidled up beside him, holding a glass of champagne. "There she is," Justin said, nodding subtly toward Sami. "Who?" James feigned ignorance. "The one you've been staring at like she's the only person in this room." "I don't know what you're talking about, man." James chuckled lightly, but his eyes didn't leave her. "She's different," he said, his voice low. Justin smirked. "Careful. Different can mean trouble." Before James could reply, Sami made her way to the refreshments table, her eyes scanning the room like a predator analyzing the environment. When her gaze landed on James, it lingered just long enough to be noticed, but not so long as to seem intentional. A mischievous smile flickered across her lips. James, feeling suddenly self-conscious, straightened his jacket. She approached him, heels clicking softly on the polished marble floor. "Hi," she said, her voice a melodic blend of warmth and playfulness. "I don't think we've met. I'm Sami." "James," he replied, offering his hand. Their fingers brushed. Electricity, or maybe fate, ticked silently in that brief contact. "I couldn't help but notice you standing all alone," she teased lightly. "Don't tell me billionaires get invited to weddings and just watch." James laughed softly, a sound rarely given in public. "I don't usually attend weddings." But Justin insisted, and I admit, I didn't expect this much celebration. His eyes flicked toward the grand hall, the laughter, the glittering crowd. Then back to her. "But I'm glad I came." Sami tilted her head slightly, eyes sparkling with subtle amusement. You're glad because of me, I hope? A smirk tugged at James' lips. Perhaps, he said. Yet even as he spoke, he was oblivious to the truth behind her charm. The small calculation behind every smile, every tilt of her head. For now, all he knew was that in the midst of music, laughter, and celebration, a connection had sparked. Something in the air whispered that this encounter would change both their lives forever, but neither fully understood the storm it would bring. Justin approached with a grin, handing him another glass of champagne. Justin's eyes scanned the crowd with the keen awareness of someone who had seen too many social games. He knew James' heart, and he knew the look in his eyes. He patted him on the shoulder and left them. The wedding had ended, but the echo of Sami's laughter lingered in James' mind long after the guests had left and the chandeliers dimmed. He couldn't sleep that night, kept replaying every word she said to him in his mind with a smile etched on his face. He couldn't explain it. There was something magnetic about her, something that drew him in. Within a few weeks, what had begun as stolen glances and casual conversations blossomed into a relationship. Texts here and day, midday calls to check up on her, early morning texts and calls. James, with all the patience and care of a man who had everything but never needed validation, treated Sami like a queen. He noticed the little things, the way her eyes sparkled at a rare flower, the subtle way she savored her favorite wine, the stories she told with animated gestures when she thought no one was watching. He remembered them, remembered her, and made sure she felt seen. Sami, on the other hand, reveled in the attention. Every dinner at an exclusive restaurant, every weekend getaway to the coast, every gift wrapped in a bow, made her heart flutter and her ambition stir. She was no stranger to luxury, but James' wealth gave her a taste of a life even she hadn't dared dream of. Yet beneath the sparkling surface, a quiet tension simmered, unnoticed. James was enchanted by her beauty and charm, but something in the way she occasionally lingered on conversations about status, wealth, and appearances tugged at the corners of his mind. He ignored it for now, convincing himself that love was enough to eclipse doubt. As months passed, the romance deepened. Candlelit dinners on yachts, surprise trips to exotic destinations, and evenings where the city skyline became their private theater of stars. James' friends and family watched from a distance, seeing the joy in his eyes and the tenderness in his actions, and they smiled approvingly. Sami's family, too, were elated, thrilled that she had found someone who could provide the life they wanted. After a few months, came the engagement, a moment so cinematic it seemed like it's from a movie. Under a canopy of lights in a private garden, James knelt, a diamond ring glinting in his hand, the city skyline behind him like a silent witness. Sami, he said, voice steady but filled with emotion, I want to spend every day of my life with you. Will you marry me? Sami's eyes shimmered with tears, of joy, of excitement, of anticipation. She nodded, whispered, yes, and in that instant, it felt as if the world had held its breath for them alone. Applause erupted from friends and family nearby, but James' gaze never left hers. Little did James know, while he was building a world of love and luxury, Sami's heart was already walking a parallel path, one where desire, ambition, and the lure of wealth could redefine loyalty in ways he could never imagine. The celebrations after the engagement seemed unstoppable. The garden was drenched in golden light, champagne glasses clinking, laughter echoing through the air. Friends and family congratulated the couple, smiles bright, hearts full. Everyone except James, blissfully unaware of the storm quietly gathering in the shadows. Because behind the sparkling veneer of joy, Sami's heart was already navigating a different path, one no one could see, least of all James. Late at night, after the last guest had departed, Sami retreated to her private suite. Her fingers danced across the screen of her phone, tapping messages with a precision born of secrecy. Each word was deliberate, each response carefully crafted. Yes, everything is going according to plan. He's completely in love. Soon everything will be mine. Her fingers hesitated for a moment over the keyboard, a fleeting pang of guilt that she quickly pushed aside. Love, she reminded herself, was a luxury she could not afford. Not when the life she dreamed of was waiting just within reach. Meanwhile, James was still wrapped in the euphoria of his engagement. He scrolled through his own phone, excitedly sending pictures of the ring to his family, planning the wedding, imagining the life they would build together. Each message carried a warmth, a trust, a belief that everything was as perfect as it seemed. And yet, perfection, as the old stories always warned, is often just a fragile illusion. As Sami typed her next message, a smirk tugged at the corners of her lips. Her secret lover responded, words filled with anticipation and promise. She read them, smiled, and tucked her phone away. The danger, the deception, the betrayal, all of it hidden behind the veil of a dazzling smile and a poised presence. James, completely oblivious, was already dreaming of the wedding. He imagined the white aisle, the soft petals, the eyes of their friends and family watching in awe as Sami walked toward him. He envisioned the vows, the first dance, the life of luxury and love that awaited them. But somewhere, in the quiet spaces between texts and whispered conversations, fate was quietly taking notes. The threads of deceit had begun to weave themselves around James' life. Threads he could not yet see. Threads that would one day threaten to unravel everything he believed about love, trust, and loyalty. And as the night deepened, the city outside sleeping beneath the stars, one question lingered in the air, unseen but heavy. Could love survive when the heart it trusted was already plotting a different path? James, oblivious of the brewing storm, continued to pamper Sami, being a perfect gentleman in every way. Sami, on the other hand, always flaunts her gifts, and all her friends wish they're the ones. There was a time she even took them to 1-week vacation, and James sponsored all without complaining. 2 months after the proposal came the wedding bell. Every top person in the city and beyond was invited, and it was going to be wedding of the century. Wedding planners swing into action immediately, everything being put in order. As the date approached, the tension increased. But everything had been put in place. Perfectly good. The night before the wedding should have been magical. Candles flickered across a ballroom, casting golden halos on the faces of the elite, all dressed in finery. James had imagined this moment countless times. Her walking down the aisle, radiant, eyes shining with love. Him waiting, confident, ready to promise forever. After sometimes Sami slipped away to make use of the restroom. He waited for some minutes and decided to go check on her as a perfect gentleman. Just as he turned into the hallway of the restroom, he stopped on his tracks. Hiding in the shadows, James overheard Sami on her phone. Her words were light, careless, almost playful. But to James, they were daggers. Yes, I can't wait to see you. Don't worry about him. He's mine for now, but once the wedding is over, I'll be back to you. You know, I only married him for the money, she whispered, not realizing her words were not private. Time stopped. James' mind struggled to comprehend. His chest tightened. The bouquet he held slipped through his fingers and fell with a crash. Every dream, every memory, every whispered promise was stripped away in that instant. He managed to walk to the balcony at the back of the house. Justin arrived just moments later. As he waited and party was going on, and they're nowhere to be found at the party, he decided to check just to make sure everything is okay. Sensing the storm that he approached him. James, what's wrong? Is everything all right? His voice shook as he saw his friend's face, drained of life. James struggled to speak, each word trembling as tears streamed down his face. I heard her. Justin, I heard everything. She doesn't love me. Not all. She's marrying me for money. And the man she truly loves, he's waiting for her. Silence. The weight of betrayal hung between them. Justin's hands clenched into fists, anger and protective instinct warring with calm. That wicked woman, after everything you gave her. Everything. Don't worry, James. I'll be with you. Whatever you decide, we face it together. James closed his eyes, letting the tears fall, the grief and fury mingling into a storm. But beneath it all, a decision quietly formed in his mind. He would not let betrayal define him. Not tonight. Not ever. He helped him to his suite, and within sometimes his parents rushed in. Looking at his face, they got worried. "What is wrong, son?" His father queried. "My child, are you all right? What is it? Talk to me, please." H told them what happened and his decision. They consoled him, and after some times they left. Meanwhile, Sami, unaware of the situation at hand, was partying hard with her friends. They drank and danced until they are wasted, and they all retired to their rooms. The following morning, the sun rose lazily, ignorant of the chaos it would illuminate. The church glistened in the golden light, ornate, perfect, and oblivious. Guests filled the pews, top men and women of the society. The elites filled the place, even people came across the world. People whispered excitedly, unaware that the most dramatic moment of the century was about to unfold. Sami walked down the aisle, radiant and blissfully unaware of the storm coming. Every eye followed her, every heart silently wishing for love to conquer all. James, however, walked with measured steps, the calmness in his demeanor concealing the tempest inside. As the minister was about to begin, James requested for some time to speak. He raised his voice, and the world fell silent. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, and his tone cut through the murmur of the crowd like a blade. "Before this wedding continues, I have something to say." All eyes snapped toward him. Sami's smile faltered. Confusion flickered in her eyes. The whispers grew louder. Phones hovered, cameras flashing, recording every second. James continued, his voice calm but piercing. "I loved this woman. I trusted her. I gave her my heart, my respect, my life. I introduced her to my family, celebrated her, and prepared to spend forever with her. But I'm sorry this marriage can no longer hold." James turned towards Sami, voice steady but firm. "You said you don't love me. You said you're marrying me for my wealth, and that the man you truly love is waiting for you. You said I was a fool. You said this wedding is just a game." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Phones streamed live. Sami's face went pale. She tried to speak. Ito explained, "I can," but James raised a hand. "Explain what?" "You already did," he said, cold yet sorrowful. "And I cannot marry someone who used me. This wedding is canceled." His voice caught slightly, the raw pain slipping through. I overheard her own words. Words that exposed her true intentions. "She doesn't love me. She's marrying me for my wealth. She is with another man, waiting for him." The crowd gasped. Cameras zoomed in. Social media feeds ignited instantly. Sami's face drained of color. She opened her mouth, attempted words, but none came. James' voice cut through the tension. "I cannot marry someone who used me. This wedding is canceled." Sami fainted instantly. The crowd erupted. Social media exploded within minutes. The billionaire groom had canceled the wedding at the altar, exposing the bride's betrayal in a live spectacle. James stepped back, his heart heavy, yet his mind strangely clear. He had exposed the truth, not just to her, but to everyone. Weeks passed. The city that had once celebrated his wealth and charm now felt like a cage. He doesn't go out anymore, doesn't go to work, he doesn't pick or return calls. He was on isolation and was drowning in his pain. Then he decided to leave and go to another city. He called his best friend Justin, and he came over. They discuss, and he helped him make some arrangements. Informed his family that he will be traveling, but never told anyone where he is going, even his friend. No assistant, no security guard, no cars. Just him and him alone. He moved to a distant city, and unfamiliar streets became his sanctuary. He rented a modest apartment tucked in a bustling neighborhood, filled with sounds of life he could lose himself in. Here, no one knew him. Nobody knows he is a billionaire. After weeks of settling in and getting used to the environment, even changed his wardrobe, he took a job as a janitor in a corporate building. The work was humble, honest, and healing. Every sweep of the floor, every polished desk, reminded him of a simpler truth. Life is not about wealth, but integrity. In this new world, he observed life differently. He watched people hustle, struggle, and survive. And slowly, he began to rebuild himself. Not the billionaire, not the groom, but James the man. Months into his quiet life, he noticed her, Melissa, the CEO. She will always walk through the corridors with a confident grace that demanded attention. She was sharp, intelligent, kind, and observant, responding to people's greetings. She always walked past him, asking how he is doing and how he's coping with the job. If it was challenging, unlike the others, she didn't notice him as the janitor or anyone unimportant. She noticed him as a person. She started offering him lunch, a warm greeting, casual conversation before entering her office. James kept his distance, cautious. Trust had become fragile, and the wounds of betrayal were deep. One day, as James was going to buy something, he saw her in a side street, quietly distributing food to beggars. No cámaras, no audience, just genuine, selfless kindness. In that moment, something stirred in him. Could someone truly be good in a world obsessed with wealth and status? Untouched by greed and power. As days turned into weeks, their interactions grew. A glance lingered too long. A laugh held too much warmth. Melissa challenged him intellectually, made him smile, teased him gently. But James hesitated. Could he trust again? Could he love without being hurt again? One afternoon, she sent for him. As James entered his office, whispers grew among the employees. As he stood in front of her desk, she looked up, meeting his gaze. James, you can sit down, I don't bite. Just give me a few minutes, let me finish this up, she said as she returned to her laptop. No problem, Ma, James replied. What's with the ma? Drop it, please, smile playing on her lips. 3 minutes later, she was done. Then she adjusted her seat and looked at James. Please, can we have a dinner tonight? Please don't say no. James wasn't prepared for it, but part of him wanted it, and he accepted. That evening, after closing from work, he offered to come and pick him from his apartment, but James objected and told her he will find his way to the place. At 7 p.m., she was already waiting for him. A few minutes later, James walked in, dressed moderately and casual. He sat across her, and they had dinner. Drinks and talks lingered on till 9:45 p.m. She never wanted the day to end. Just before they settled their bills to go, she looked James straight in the eyes and said, James the first like you, more than I should. James swallowed, but kept quiet. I won't rush you, she continued. You can take your time. I just want to let you know. I really do like you. Her smile was patient, knowing, understanding. We take it slow. I'll wait. Every interaction became a delicate dance of emotion. Desire, caution, fear, and hope intertwined, building tension and anticipation. Alone in his modest apartment that night, James reflected. The empire he left behind thrived. Yet he felt empty. The betrayal of Sami still haunted him. Could he risk everything again? And yet, Melissa, her honesty, her humility, her genuine care. Could this be the love he had been searching for? A love not dependent on wealth or status. Finally, he accepted her. They started dating, and she offered to change him, his wardrobe at least, but he objected, and she respected that, and they continued their relationship. She took him to her family and introduced him to everyone. Ladies admired him, and everyone loved him as if he is part of the family. Already she introduced him to her friends and some business associates. She loves spending time with him. She invites him over to her house some weekends, and at times she goes over to his apartment just to spend time together. Emotions started building again in James here. She would tell him about the business and the challenges she's facing, and James seems to always have solutions for them. This made her wonder who he really is, as he never talked much about himself. Each time she asked, he will wave it aside and say there's no much thing about him. She always sought his advice, as she realized that he is very experienced and intelligent, especially in business and life matters. One fateful day, Melissa asked him to go with her for an event. It was a Met Gala night. Ladies and gentlemen from the high social cycle were all in attendance. James agreed, and he really looked good that night. As they walked into the arena, everywhere was already crowded, music blasted from the speakers. Dancing and drinking, and they joined in. Just as the fun was reaching its peak, a young man walked up to them holding a glass of wine. It was Andrew, son of the richest man in that city. He had tried everything to court Melissa, but she turned him down. "Is this who you ended up with?" He mocked with a smirk on his face. "Where did you pick him from?" James wanted to react, but held his cool, just observing the guy. "You should have let me take care of you and treat you like a queen you are," he said, sliding his hand around her waist, but the reply he got was a thunderous slap. "You are a big fool if you think I will stoop down to your level," Melissa bellowed. "Take me out of here, James." And just like that, they left. And she apologized to James for the embarrassment. "It's fine." She followed James to his apartment that night, and they spent the weekend together. The following week was busy as usual, but she always has some events to attend by the weekend. James was invitation to volunteer at a local community kitchen. Watching her laugh with children, share meals, and comfort the weary, James realized some people are rarer than gold. Genuine, selfless, and pure. When she smiled at him, he whispered quietly, "Maybe, just maybe, I can love again." As he returned home, he made up his mind that it was time to go home. The city lights sparkled outside the window, mirroring the tiny sparks forming in his heart. A new story was beginning, a story of trust, hope, and second chances. James invited her over after some weeks of preparation. "I have a family function next week. I will like you to attend with me, if you don't mind." She didn't even let him finish, and she said yes excitedly. "I want to meet your family." "That's nice," James replied. "We will be going next weekend." As she returned home, she started picking out her clothes and shoes, bags and toiletries. She went shopping for family gifts and got so many nice things. When the day finally came, she couldn't sleep well as she was excited about everything. She kept rehearsing in her mind how she will do when she get there. She bought tickets for the two of them, which he had to beg James to accept before she could buy. As they landed, a black SUV picked them up, as James has already made plans with his friend to come pick them, but warned him not to make her suspect. The city hummed under a golden sunset, skyscrapers glinting like shards of glass. James sat in the back of a sleek black SUV, glancing at the familiar skyline. His heart raced, not with anxiety, but anticipation. After months of self-discovery and healing, he was returning to the life he had left behind. Beside him, Melissa adjusted her hair, a hint of nervous excitement in her eyes. She had known about this visit for weeks, and had prepared herself to meet James' family and friends. But the real question that lingered is, will the family accept me? The SUV pulled into the long, winding driveway of a luxurious bungalow, the home of James' family. As the gates opened, Melissa's eyes widened. She had imagined wealth, grandeur, but this was beyond her imagination. The garden was meticulously landscaped. Fountains glistened in the evening light, and marble columns framed the entrance. James' mother greeted them warmly, her eyes twinkling as if she had always known Melissa would come. "Welcome, dear," she said, embracing her. The house staff bowed politely, and every step Melissa took seemed to echo in the silence of awe. Over dinner, laughter mingled with conversation. James' father, a man of quiet authority, asked about Melissa's life, her values, and her vision. She spoke honestly, her intelligence shining through every word. James noticed subtle glances of approval between his parents. They could see what he already knew. This woman was extraordinary. Later, in a private moment, James took Melissa's hand. "Do you feel overwhelmed?" he asked softly. She shook her head, smiling. "I feel inspired. You have a lovely family." After dinner, James led Melissa to his private mansion in the heart of the city. The doors opened, revealing an even grander residence, adorned with priceless art and memories of his journey. Melissa gasped. James exhaled slowly. As he led her into the house, I left the life, not the lessons I had learned, and I left because I needed to heal. There's someone you need to know about. He recounted the story of Sami's betrayal, the engagement, the overheard conversation, the public humiliation, and the retreat. Melissa listened intently, her hand never leaving his. By the end, her eyes glistened. James, I understand why you feared trusting again, she whispered. But I promise you, I'm not Sami. I'm here to build with you, not take from you. The night was quiet. Stars blanketed the sky, and the mansion's soft lights cast shadows of serenity. James led Melissa to the terrace, where a table was set with flowers and candles. Melissa, he began, kneeling, holding a small velvet box. I've walked through betrayal, heartbreak, and solitude. And through it all, I realized the one thing that makes life worth living is love that is genuine, pure, and shared with someone who sees the real you. Will you marry me? Melissa's breath caught, tears streaming down her face. She nodded, her voice trembling. Yes, yes, 1,000 times yes. As they embraced, fireworks in the distance illuminated the night sky, a symbolic end to heartbreak and the beginning of a new life together. The wedding was a fusion of elegance and African heritage. White drapes intertwined with gold, drums echoed in rhythm, and family and friends danced with joy. James and Melissa's union was more than a wedding. It was the culmination of love and trust. Melissa walked down the aisle, radiant. James could barely hold back tears. Their vows were heartfelt, binding them not just legally, but spiritually. Every cheer, every embrace, and every smile told a story of triumph over betrayal. Months after the wedding, Melissa discovered she was pregnant. James was overjoyed, holding her hand gently as they felt the first movements of life within her. Then after 9 months' journey, came another surprise, twins. Melissa gave birth to 2 bouncing baby boys. The mansion was filled with laughter, love, and preparations. Every day, they imagined their children's future, the twins' education, lessons in integrity, and the importance of kindness. James reflected, wealth can give comfort, but love gives life its true meaning. Meanwhile, Sami's life had crumbled. Her secret lover had abandoned her when he realized she had failed to secure James' fortune. Social media was unforgiving. Every post, every gossip column reminded her of the empire she had lost. Not just wealth, but dignity and respect. In a mansion, James and Melissa watched the sunset with their twins. The sound of their laughter echoed through the halls, blending with the whispers of the city beyond. James looked at Melissa and smiled. This is everything I ever wanted. Not wealth, not power, but family, love, and peace. Melissa rested her head on his shoulder, smiling. And we built it together. Please don't forget to like, comment, and share. Also subscribe to our channel for more beautiful stories. See you in the next story. Shalom.